doing presenting. So if you have a question, stop me at any point so that I can help you out. Okay, so I'm going to go back through this kind of, and again, at any point, let me know if you got a question. So on this one, this was just kind of like your warm up. And so you picked two sets and you just compared them. You can compare them in any way. This was just to get you thinking along the lines of like dot plots. Okay. This is where we kind of get the meat of the information. So in order to find the mean, which is this X bar up at the top, right here, this X bar, you're going to add up all of the numbers and then divide by how many terms you've got. This right here is your standard deviation equation or your formula. So with that being said, though, I would not suggest doing this by hand, because essentially what you're having to do is you're having to add together the difference between one of the terms minus your average and then square it and divide by the number of terms minus 1. And you're taking the square root of all of that. So standard deviation is really difficult to calculate by your hand. So my suggestion to you is to use that TI-83 calculator and put it into your calculator. Okay? Are there any questions on either mean or standard deviation so far? Okay. So interquartile range is finding the upper median of the upper numbers and then the lower median of the lower numbers. So just like what I did in my example, I got 1.5 because that's in between that 1 and 2, which is the lower numbers. And then the upper numbers are 4 and 5 in this scenario. And so I get 4.5 right here. I'm going to subtract 4.5 and 1.5, and that's going to give me that 3. Okay, so any questions on interquartile range, median, anything like that? And again, I can't see the chat, so if you want to just unmute yourself, let me know.
So what is standard deviation actually?
So it's deviating from the mean. So there's most of the time you have a normal distribution, right? Y'all have seen like a bell curve, right? Where most of your averages are falling in this middle line. So what's a typical average for a test score? Well, 70 is an average, right? If you're above a 70, you're considered average or roughly average, right? So deviating from that, it's how far over does it go? So if this had a standard deviation of, let's say 2.5, the next little section is going to be 72.5. And down below this 70 is going to give you 67.5. So it's deviating from the mean. That's really what standard deviation is. There's a really good Khan Academy video on standard deviation. He does a better explanation of it. But it's really just, there's a percentile that's a little bit above the average. Does that help just a little bit?
Yes.
Okay. And I can go over that a little bit more in detail if you need me to. But really your focus is to calculate it. You're just going to be asked to calculate it for the most part. Okay? Any other questions? Okay. So I went over this in the video. So if you haven't watched the video yet, please make sure that you do it. If you'll download this document, you can click on this TI-84 and it shows you how to put it into your calculator. I did do it in the video, but make sure that you click on that. Again, this was in the video and hopefully you've already watched it, but at this point, I'm gonna go over this stuff. Okay, so first thing, I'm gonna get rid of all of this extra. Okay, so it says you're going to compare your work to a partner who's already completed their work. So this is your partner's work and this is your work, right? And it says find the mean and standard deviation for the following dot plots. So how dot plots work is everywhere that there's a dot, that is a number. So for instance, in this list of numbers, there are dots all along these numbers right here. Okay. So I'm going to take these numbers, so -9, -8, -7, all the way to 0, and I'm going to plug it into my calculator. Okay. So I'm going to go into stat. I'm going to click enter or edit. Okay. And make sure that you don't have anything in that list. And if you ever want to clear your list, you can hit stat and scroll down to where it says clear list in that little section. Does everybody here have a TI-83 on their computer, or they have one in person? I'm assuming. If you don't, again, use the document to figure out how to do that in any of the other calculators. Otherwise, you can ask me later on. So I'm going to take all of these and I'm going to put them into my calculator. Sorry, it's me typing in. And so you have all of those numbers. And if you have any extra numbers, just hit clear list or delete those numbers from your list. Okay, so the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to hit stat. And it's going to pull up this screen right here. So it's going to look like this once you hit stat. Okay, then you're going to scroll to the right and you're going to click on calc, which it'll pull up a list, and that list will look like this. Okay, so now we have this, and you're going to click enter, and then you're going to click enter one more time. Okay, and once you do that, so you're going to hit enter, and then you're going to hit enter again. Once you do that, you pull up a list that looks like this. I'm sorry, copy and paste this stuff. Okay, so it looks like this. So I'm going to get rid of these other pictures so it doesn't confuse you. So we're going to look at this information. Okay, so where it says X bar, so X bar right here is your average. That's your mean. So that is negative 4.5. So over here for this mean, you're going to have negative 4.5. For your standard deviation, it's going to be this little sigma notation right here. So that's going to be 2.87. Okay. Then you're going to calculate this for the second one. So you're going to go back to your list and you're going to put it in your calculator. And you're going to calculate the mean and standard deviation. And then you're going to do that for the third one, right? Okay, so I'm assuming that at that point you know how to plug it in, okay? Are there any questions on this so far? Any questions on how I put it in my calculator? Any questions on anything like that? Okay, so everybody's okay up to this point. So then it says, what do you notice about the mean and standard deviation you and your partner found for the 3 dot plots? So let's look at this first. Over here, my partner found the mean from 1 to 10, right? And they had a bigger mean than what I did. They also had a positive mean. So if you have positive numbers, you're going to have a positive mean. If you have negative numbers, guess what? You're going to have a negative mean. And that's what you would write down here. Positive numbers, positive mean. And then let's look at our standard deviation. It's 2.87. Okay? Well, let's look at how many numbers we've got right here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, this number right here, or this set right here, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So our standard deviation is going to be the same because we're kind of covering the same distance on both of these plots. Okay? So these standard deviations happen to be the same because we're covering the same amount of numbers. Okay? All right, so take a moment, and what I want you to do is I want you to find the mean and the standard deviation of this second plot. Take a moment, try to find the standard deviation and the mean for this second plot. And if you need to plug it into your calculator, that's fine. I'm going to give you about a minute 30 to do this. Okay, and I'm going to work it in my calculator, and y'all are more than welcome to ask questions as we go along. And if there are 2 dots under or above a number, then there's 2 5s, and then there's 2 10s. Okay, so I put my list into my calculator. I'm going to hit stat. I'm going to scroll over to where it says calc. I'm going to press enter, and then I'm going to hit enter again. And when I do this for the second one, I get this as my screen. This is for the second one. So what's going to be my mean? Well, let's look at it. It says X bar right here, which X bar is going to be 15. So that means my mean is going to be 15. What about my standard deviation? Well, the sigma right here says 7.07. All right, so now what do you notice about the mean and the standard deviation between this guy and this guy? And can somebody answer that for me? So what do you know about the mean from one to the other? And what's the difference between the standard deviations? And why are they different? And if somebody wants to unmute themselves and talk to me, that'd be cool.
The mean on the one on the right is it's half of the one on the left.
Okay.
And the standard deviation on the right is double. It's half of the one on the left.
Okay, and that's true for the numbers too. Like if you look at the lowest number on the left-hand side, it's 10, right? And on the right-hand side, it's 5. Well, 5 is half of 10, right? And then on the top numbers, you've got 50 on one side and then 25 on the other, right? So we see that that's impacting our mean and our standard deviation, right? All right, good job. Questions on those two? Do we want to try number 3? And again, I can't see the chat, so.
Wait, so which one were you on?
This was number 2. For this screen right here.
Oh.
Again,
Okay.
you can calculate this by hand, but don't do it since y'all are at home and you've got access to a calculator online.
Okay. Is it okay that you can do it again because I missed the first part? Please.
Yeah. So like plug it into the calculator.
Yes.
Okay. So let's work through number 3 then, and I'll show you pictures of it. Is it okay if I completely erase everything that's on the screen really quick?
Let me screenshot.
Yeah.
Okay, now you can.
Okay. No, I feel that. All right. Let me erase this really quick. Okay. Because I know there's a lot going on here.
Yes.
All right. So what you're going to do is you have a TI-83, right?
Mm-hmm.
I assume. Okay. All right. So you're going to go into your TI-83. You're going to hit stat. And it's going to pull up this list that says edit, sort, etc. You're going to click on edit by hitting enter. And then you're going to take all of your numbers and plug them into that list. So for instance, you'll type into your calculator -3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So you're going to put -3, you're going to hit enter. -3, hit enter. -3, hit enter, etc. And then you're going to type 7 into your calculator. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Okay, so your list is going to look like this when you type it in. With me so far?
Just about.
Okay, it's okay to say, it's okay to be no. That's okay. So hit stat and then hit enter. And then type all of these numbers in. And each time you type a number in, hit enter.
Okay, one thing.
Yeah.
I don't have the calculator you're talking about.
The TI-83?
Yeah.
Okay, go to Google and type in TI-83 download. Or do you have a phone on you?
Yeah.
Okay, go to your app store and type in Wabbit Emu. That's how you spell it. WABBITEMU. And that'll pull up a TI-83 calculator.
Wabbit. What was the last? EMU?
EMU. Yep. So download that and that'll be a TI-83 calculator.
Oh, thank you very much. You're an
No problem.
angel.
I'll try to be. All right.
No, you are one.
We know. It's fine. All right. So once I put this in, then I'm going to hit stat and then scroll over to calc. I'm going to hit enter and then I'm going to hit enter again. And this is what I get. All right. So when I get this screen, okay, my screen's going to look like this. So analyzing this stuff, we're going to say that X bar, which is our mean, is 2. And our standard deviation is going to be the sigma right here, which is going to be 5, right? Yeah. So our standard deviation is going to be 5. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to compare. So over on the left-hand side, my mean was 2, right? But my standard deviation was 0. The reason why my standard deviation was 0 over here is because nothing ever deviated from the mean. So I think, Dana, you asked that question earlier about what standard deviation is. It's deviating from the mean, like how far over it goes left or right from the mean. Well, none of the numbers go off of the mean, so our standard deviation is 0. Okay. So over here, we've got a mean of 2, and then we've got a standard deviation of 5. Okay, so our mean is right here in the middle. Oof, who draws this line? Who lets me be a teacher? Okay, so we've got a mean of 2. And from 2 to 7, how far over is that? Well, that's 5, right?
Yeah.
And then from 2 to -3, that's 5. See how that standard deviation is, hey, how far away are you from the mean?
Yeah.
Okay, so how is this mean and standard deviation different from this one? Well, this one's more spread out, right? Which is why it has a greater standard deviation. This one, it's just all the same numbers. Does that help?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. I don't think there's any more parts on that paper. Are there any more questions at the bottom of this paper?
Yeah, there's like 3 more.
There's 3 more? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what's the next question on there? Because I don't have it pulled up.
It says, why is the standard deviation the same for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and -2, -1, 0, 1, 2?
Okay. So those are new sets of data, right? Like they tell you new sets of data down at the bottom. So you're essentially going to do the same practice that we did up here, plug it into your calculator, and then you're telling the difference between the standard deviation. Why are they the same? Right?
Okay.
And then what's the next question on there?
It says, why is the standard deviation different from -4, -2, 0, 2, 4, and -4, -3, -2, -1, 0?
Okay, so again, you're going to take those lists and you're going to plug them in, and then you're going to compare those standard deviations. Okay. And you're just giving me a reason why. Okay.
All right.
And then what's the last one?
The last one is, when is the standard deviation equal to 0?
So why is the standard deviation equal to 0?
When is one number repeated? And there's no like.
When the one number is repeated, just like what we saw right here, right? That's exactly it. So we've already answered this one. So that's the last one on your paper, right? Yeah. Okay, so why is the standard deviation equal when the numbers are the same? Okay. And then why are the standard deviations, these 2 questions that are below this, you're going to have to calculate those.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so are there any questions over today's lesson?
I can find it.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So for the third problem for the standard deviation, I had got 3.74. That's what I got.
For the third one?
Yes.
Okay, are you sure you put negative threes in?
Oh, because of the dots?
Yeah. However many dots are on top of whatever number it is, that's how many times you put it into your calculator.
No, I didn't. I didn't know that at the moment. So I got
Okay.
it. Thank you.
Anything else?
Yes.
What's up?
Wait, you can hear me?
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Is that Julia?
I'm sorry, Miss Emmons.
No, you're good. What's up?
Oh no, I'm just looking for an assignment because I was watching you the entire time, so I'm just trying to look for the assignment.
Okay, go under DLD. Go under the DLD tab, and then under that, it's like April 13th to the 17th, and then today's date, which is April 13th.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, you're fine, baby. All right. Any other questions on that? Okay. I'm gonna open it up to the floor. Are there any questions on like logistics or anything that you've got a question about that you want an answer to?
Well, I do have a question.
What's up, babe?
About the midterm, is it like the things we learn, or we still need to learn something new in order to take it?
So midterm should be a review. It's everything that we've already learned up until March 1st. So it's everything from January to February.
All right.
And let me know if y'all are still having issues on that. Your teacher should have recopied the quizzes. So if you weren't able to see like answer choices or something, just go back in. They should allow you to take a second attempt on it. But make sure that you can see all the answer choices. So they should have reopened that for you. Let your teacher know if they haven't yet.
I only got one attempt.
Okay, they just reopened it today, so check and make sure. Who's your teacher?
Mr. Jones.
Okay, I'll talk to him about it. But were you able to see everything, like all the answer choices?
Yes.
Okay, then y'all are fine. There was just I think for most of my kids, I only had 2 kids who had that issue, but you're supposed to only get 1 attempt right now. And if you missed any quizzes from like last week or the week before, if you missed any of that, that's going to be reopened on either Thursday or Friday. And I'll let y'all know the detail on that. So if you missed something previously, that's going to come out Thursday, Friday, which will be probably Thursday evening. So just be on the lookout for that.
Are we not allowed to see our score? Or?
No. Your teacher will put it in, but it's kind of one of those safety features in the sense of, if I take the quiz and I know that I got a 75 and I knew that I missed this one question, now I'm going to go tell my friend, hey, I got a 75. This is how you do it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Smart.
Yeah. So that's kind of the reason why. But your teacher will update the quiz as quickly as it closes. We'll try to get those in within like 2 days or so because there are 220 of y'all. So try to give them a little bit of grace. These are good questions. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay. So just some reminders. You've got the midterm, all those AKS, they're due by Friday. Okay. And if you had any issues with anything, let your teacher know. This helps your grade. So if you're really wanting to help your grade, this is how you do it. Take this midterm. Okay. And it's a couple of different AKS. So please make sure that you do all of them so that we're able to go back and replace. If you don't do better on the AKS, obviously your grade just remains the same. So like if you got a 50 on that AKS previously and you got a 25 on the midterm on that AKS, obviously I'm not going to go back and replace that because that would hurt your grade. Okay. So you can't really lose by taking this midterm. Okay. Another thing is the extra credit project. Okay. That has been posted. This really should be pick your AKS, pick your lowest AKS, the one that you struggled with the most, and try to come up with a project that's around your house. It can be like a chore. It doesn't have to be super extreme. So for instance, if I were to pick AKS 16, which is creating equations, I'm going to go find a project around my house that's going to allow me to create equations. Okay. And it does not have to be that big of a project. I know I gave the example of building a garden. Obviously, some of you may not be able to build a garden because your parents won't let you. Okay. But just ask your parents, hey, what kind of projects are around the house? Or hey, what kind of chores are around the house? And see if you can relate it to an AKS. Are there any questions on that?
Yes. Where is the extra credit packet or project?
So go under content, and there's a module that says extra credit project on it. And it has all the stuff on there.
Okay. Wow, I feel
Is
dumb
that a
now.
question?
When to do?
It is May 8th. May 8th. So your planning process is April. We're supposed to have a planning process, which is basically you telling me your AKS and what project you plan on doing by Friday. And guys, you can like change it, but your teacher just wants to be able to help you. So make sure that you post in the Dropbox. And your teacher should have a Dropbox for you to post that extra credit project in. But yeah, it's due officially by May 8th.
Okay.
For the midterm, is there like a quiz for each AKS?
Yeah. So it's broken down by AKS. And it says midterm. It says midterm on all of them. And then it says AKS 20, AKS 17. So there are 5 different AKS that you're being assessed on.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Mm-mm. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
No problem. All right, so I'm gonna hang around just for a second, but otherwise, y'all are free to go if you need to. But I'm here for you, so whatever questions you have specifically. I know somebody asked me to do a project, basically emulate a project. So I'm working on that right now. So I should have that posted tomorrow so that you can just see what an extra credit project might look like. But just give me a little bit of time on that. But are there any other questions? Alondra, are you okay? Brandon, you good? Janai, you okay, babe? Okay.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Okay. Dana, you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Julia, you figured it out?
Yes.
Okay.
I feel dumb, but thank you.
No problem. You're fine. It happens. No worries. All right. Well, y'all are free to go. But I'm going to sit here until you need me, I guess. But good luck with everything, and let me know if you're struggling with anything. Okay. And if you're missing, say it again.
Oh, I have one request, but it's completely unrelated.
Okay. Give me like 20 seconds. I'm going to hit stop recording on this really quick. And then,
Okay.
Yeah.